Good morning, everybody. This is Grant with State of the Spark, and I am super pumped about today's show. We're going to be talking about the three parts of your manifesto and why. Why would you write a manifesto? It's time. It's time for a manifesto. We're going to talk about my old manifesto. I'm going to actually share that with you. But before that, we've got other news. We're going to be talking about word sculptures. That sounds simple. Dude, come on, get over it. This is going to be awesome. We're going to talk about your aphelion as opposed to your perihelion, which you really should be aware of. But before any of that, we're going to be talking about a morning cup of gratitude. What are you grateful for? I want to hear in the comments below. Come on, you know how this goes. I want to hear in the comments below what you're grateful for today. And of course, I'm going to start. I am absolutely grateful for this hurricane we're having. What? Why am I grateful for this hurricane? Because we got to actually go sit in the rain. Marissa happened to be awake, as she always is. And she was on TikTok and texted me. And I said, hey, you want to go sit in the rain? So this morning, we actually sat in the bands of the storm swinging through. I love sitting through storms. I love the power of a good rainstorm. And this is a fairly weak tropical storm as it's hitting us right now. But we went and sat in the rain. When was the last time you sat in the rain? When was the last time you just enjoyed the weather and got chilly and got goosies and actually welcomed that and relaxed? Brock says, boom. What does he say here? Hurricanes are my favorite, the best surfing. Brock, I did not know you surfed. How did I not know that you surf? We go to Coco's fairly frequently, and I grew up surfing. I'd love to go surfing sometime. And then somebody somewhere else who says this. Let me see where you're commenting. Lisa Welsh says she's grateful that she registered her nonprofit. Bam! That's what I'm talking about. Did it go through, Lisa? That's what I want to know. And then Brock jumps back in and says, also grateful for focus and deep thinking. You're not joking. Like, I was literally contemplating just skipping the show this morning because I love the weather. We could just sit and enjoy it. So I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing what you're grateful for. It's super, super important to start the day like that. So yeah, and then I learned something about Brock. Brock knows how to surf. So that's freaking awesome. The more people around me, especially as you start getting up in years, that like surfing, that are willing to go surfing, it's good to know them. So we're going to cover that, but let's talk about a few pieces of other news. News that elevates you. News that hopefully makes you a little more cosmopolitan, a little more intelligent at the water cooler. Let's talk about your aphelion. Is that what the one I have next? Yeah, let's talk about your aphelion. So for those who don't know, the aphelion is when we are the furthest in our orbit from the sun. And a lot of people might wonder, why is it so hot then? When you're far from the sun, it's supposed to be cool. Well, that might be true for other planets like Mars, relatively cool. Other planets like Mars, when it reaches its aphelion, it's pretty chilly. And then it has weird seasons because its axis tilts. So if you remember, though, it's winter somewhere on this planet. It's winter in the southern hemisphere, my beautiful friends. So as it comes to Earth's orbit, we have a fairly stable orbit. So when we're at our aphelion, yes, that was July 5th, specifically at 5:27 p.m., we were at our furthest point from the sun. But in our own orbit, that really doesn't determine our temperature as much as access, because in the southern hemisphere, it's winter. Hello. And then for us, our perihelion, it's when we're closest to the sun. You would think that would mean that we're hotter. No, not in the northern hemisphere. It's January and it's chilly here. So hopefully at the water cooler, you don't look like a fool when you tell people we're at our aphelion, we're the first from the sun, and they all balk and go, no way, it's so hot. How could that happen? And you could chuckle and elitist knowledge and know that, no, my little friends, that's just the axis is what determines that. Now, it is very interesting if you look at other planets like Mars, which is the one we're kind of most familiar with at this point. But when it has kind of like different seasonal cycles, it could be furthest from the sun, but experiencing a different season and at different parts of its orbit, it goes through this. It might be furthest from the sun in winter and furthest from the sun in summer. And so its whole seasonal cycle is a little different. So it's a fun little thought. If you want to learn more about your aphelion, and you should, why would you not want to know more about your aphelion? Here we go. Putting that in the comments right there. You can read that article yourself. Let's talk about word sculptures. I'm digging this one. So in art news, artist Stephen Doyle out of New York City has been doing some really cool stuff that I dig. And what I really dig is how the art transformed the artist. And I'll give you a quick quote by this guy. He's a New York City artist, and he has these things, and this is a kind of a quote. He says, these are miniature monuments, testaments to the power of language and metaphors and imagination. I'm going to drop the link in here first so you can see this is a very visual piece of art, so that you can see how he does his sculptures in combining words. So he originally envisioned these. There in the thumbnail, you can see right there in the thumbnail, you can see interlocking lines of text. So this artist, Stephen Doyle, by day is a graphic designer. And he was getting kind of snarky with some of his clients and decided to do a physical art installation called hypertext, which, as we know, is what is the real term of like links on a web page, hypertext. And it's the coding language, basically, of websites. So this guy's like, oh, I'm going to show these people like physical hypertext. So he started combining words and phrases and created some of these pieces of art, which you can see in the thumbnail, of him combining these sculptures. And some of them are very intricate and very cool. But it's not only a cool art installation. What I really like is the transformation that went on in this artist. What this artist then said was, what started off as satire ended up as poetry. And he says this, he says, I soon realized that these three-dimensional diagrams seem to have a poetic power of their own, recontextualizing language and ideas into sculptural forms inspired by the books themselves. He goes on to say that what started off as a rather immature satire of language and what the plebes thought of hypertext actually started shifting him, and he paused to see their beauty and continued the work. And here's the thing I think we could take away from this, as we should always try to take some meaning, whether intended or not. You should always take meaning away from art. And what I believe it says is, you can say the same words to someone and start off being satirical or ironic or sarcastic. But as your heart changes and something shifts inside of you, you could say the same words and they become poetic, sage-like, and helpful, more artistic. And that is true of life. What starts out in your 20s and 30s as rebellion and irony and satire and sarcasm as you're navigating the world, if you just grow up and mature a little bit, you can actually say the same things, and they're wisdom, and they're truth, and they're kind, and they're helpful. I love that. You've already got the link in the comments. Check out the piece. I really dig. There's this one that kind of looks like a pyramid, and I don't even know how he did this with the paper. I'd like to look closer at how he did this, but it's one like there's a tank one. Oh, it's one here in New York, and it's these ideas kind of spewing out of this red book cover. That was the one, actually. Really dig that. I recommend you check it out. And that's your pieces of other news. Let's talk about the 3 parts of your manifesto, which I require of you to write this week. Let's talk about it. So, as many of you know, back in 2011, I met my beautiful wife, who's sitting over here in her robe. And in 2012, we worked together our first honeymoon year of marriage. We worked hard, put 30 plus grand in a bank account or so, and decided we were going to move to the missionary field. I had been working in Haiti since 2007. We had built a community shelter in a school. And then the earthquake happened in 2010. We lost the building. And then we just restarted, built from scratch again. And then my wife and I set out to live on the island of Hispaniola. And we got there, and I started observing something that really frustrated me about the world. I considered myself a missionary at the time. And I was realizing no one's truly going. Yes, there are many people getting on an airplane and going on a missionary trip. But no one is making the big sacrificial play. So few people felt like they were actually making a leap. Fewer involving themselves in a life of missions and involving others. Most of my peers were grasping at pursuits of stability, jobs, careers. And this sounds very cliche, and it's cliche for a reason. It's cliche because everyone does it. And I understood, in 2008, just before this, a lot of people had lost their jobs and were grateful for any work they could get. I know I was. But as I got into the missionary field in 2012 and started observing how much need there was in the world, I was irritated that there was something broken. And what's worse, I feared that these people would get sucked into their lifestyle, and when maybe the world and the humanitarian field didn't really need people's help right then, but what should the next Haiti earthquake occur, will people rally? Well, I feared that they wouldn't because they would be so then entrenched in their careers. It would be a worse scenario where now they were seeing the rewards of their careers and not willing to truly sacrifice for others. This bothered me so bad that I wrote the Rookie Missionary Manifesto. Bought the domain Missionary Tips, and I bought the domain Rookie Missionary. Still own those to this day. Started a website and uploaded my Rookie Missionary Manifesto. Now, this is bold, right? It's bold to write a manifesto. It's bold to have your Jerry Maguire moment and put everyone on notice, because if you remember from Jerry Maguire, the only thing that did was get him fired. And it got him one particular client. Go back and watch Jerry Maguire, because it is a great show, a great film that shows what it's like to put people on notice. No one comes rallying around you. No one becomes your raging fan. You don't see sudden rewards, but you put yourself out there and something shifted in you. So I wrote this Rookie Missionary Manifesto, and I love the material, and I fully plan on relaunching this when it's contextual for the Spark journey. Spark, Ignite, Explode, Radiate. It fits in the Radiate phase. Actually, probably in the Explode phase more than anything. I will relaunch this material and update it, because I was rereading it and I fully dig it. I was rereading it and going, I dig this. Now, for those of you who are anti-religion, I would say I'm with you, right? I'm completely anti-religious. This Rookie Missionary Manifesto focused more on the humanitarian and mission field, and nearly none. I don't think I actually wrote a single thing about theology in the entire book. And I recall being challenged at that because, hey, our theologies are shifting all the time. Mine are shifting today. But the mission, call it humanitarianism, human service, serving the world, that was the focus of this material, and it was bold, and I stand by it. I think it's timeless. But now it's time to do this again. It's time for me to write the State of the Spark Manifesto. And it's been top of mind. And just a few quick things about a manifesto. Manifestos help you share with the public boldly what should be your place in the market. It tells who you should be attracting and who you should be repelling. It clarifies the type of clients or supporters you want. Like when you're starting out a business or a mission-driven organization or a nonprofit, Lisa Welsh is starting her nonprofit. When you start these, you think any and everyone's. Who's your client? Everyone's my client. This is like my coaching clients say this all the time. When I have a new coaching client, and when I say new, I mean they're new to business. Now, I get new coaching clients, but they've been in business a while. They don't say this, but new clients always say, everyone's my client. And it's like, it can't be everyone. A 1-year-old toddler can't be your client. Well, you're being extreme and ridiculous. Yes, and so are you. Not everyone should be your client. When you write a manifesto, it's scary because you know you're going to reject and repel certain people. Absolutely. Instead of you going door to door begging for business or going door to door and begging for donations, there should be a type of person. For those people who want to change the world, this is the type of organization you want to donate to. For those people who believe in bringing education to rural communities around the world, this is how you donate. You see that? That's different than, if you love Jesus, donate here. Yeah, I donated to the food pantry. I donate to the church. For those who want to change the world through bringing education to rural communities, donate here. That makes sense. Can you hear the difference in that? Manifestos help you articulate to people what's going on. Boom. Lisa Welsh says, right, I got my eye on 216 farmers in Florida. They are my people. And this is a powerful phrase from Lisa Welsh. I once heard a powerful statement from Tim Ferriss and some of the people he was consulting with. If you have 1,000 online raving fans, you could retire a millionaire. You only need 216 farmers in Florida. I don't want farmers in Georgia, maybe later. I'm talking to 216 farmers in Florida. These are my people. And for whatever Lisa Welsh is going to be bringing them, information, courses, empowerment, she could retire a millionaire that way. A manifesto tells these 216 people what you're all about. And they'll boot you to the curb if you don't resonate with them right now. And a manifesto will tell you, do I actually know the heart of these people, or am I just blowing smoke at my own butt? Am I starting a business that has a purpose, or am I just blowing smoke at my own butt? Do I think my thinking is the greatest thing ever? A manifesto causes you to put your most vulnerable foot forward. It clarifies who should steer clear of you. Of these 216 people that Lisa Welsh was just referring to, what she doesn't want is some naysaying, ho-hum, I've done farming the same way I've always ever done it, and I ain't listening to Lisa Welsh. She doesn't want haters. She wants someone who wants to make a difference with agriculture. If you talk to Lisa Welsh, she has a mission. She lost a friend that she thinks she could have helped with microgreens and health and nutrition. And I hope I'm not airing dirty laundry. She tells the public this is her passion. And if she could help someone through healthy greens, she'll do that. She doesn't want some agro farmer who's just doing mass production greens. She wants someone who's on a mission like her. Manifestos help you clarify what you're all about. So it's time for State of the Spark. I've been wrestling with writing the State of the Spark book now for a solid 10 years. I'm not kidding. I've got draft upon draft. I can show you my notes and drafts. I've been working on this. I've got Evernotes from over 10 years ago about trying to write the State of the Spark book. Now, most of you know, I've written like 7 books. I've written, and some of you are just now finding out, I wrote the Rookie Missionary Manifesto. That book is going to come out. I wrote the Top 100 Dream Igniter. We still have to process that one in the new branding and the new editing. I've got like 5 other books we've written. You know, the reasons causing your teams to get stuck, sales. Like, we've got tons of stuff that I want to share, but the one I haven't written is the State of the Spark book, and it's got principles. It's kind of a workbook, but it's kind of a framework. I realize I need to write this as a manifesto. I don't need to write this book and tell stories about how great I am and all the adventures we've been on. I'm proud of our adventures, but that's not what viewers need to know. They need to know what is Spark all about. What are you all about? I know Brock's been doing groundbreaking programming. I know Root, who's saw your like, Root. Thanks for watching. Root's on a mission. He's been on a mission for Voyager, and even though his mission has shifted, he's still on a mission. What do you stand for? In fact, if you know, drop it in the comments. I want to hype you. I want to hype your mission. I want to hype your vision. I want to hear what you're all about. But as it comes to your manifesto, here are the 3 components. There's only 3 major sections of any manifesto. Now, you might have 7 chapters. You might have a bunch of material. You got to see this. I love this. This is why I like people like Brock. Brock's my people. Brock says, I have one I've worked on every night for several years. It's not ready to be published, but it does put boundaries on and direct what software I'm building now, who I'm building it for, and what I am and I'm not willing to do to build it. Now, this is huge. He's got no-go zones, no-go zones. I'm willing to go here. I'm willing to do whatever it takes shy of this to build it. Because if you're building something that has a moral compass And I don't care if your moral compass is greed is good, Gordon Gekko, or if your moral compass is making an impact in the world. You can't say, for example, you can't have an ecological mission to help ecology, and I'm willing to do anything to get there, like sell plastic straws. Come on. Come on. This is a killer framework. And some manifestos are lengthy. Some manifestos are super detailed. Some aren't. Some are short. Some look more like mission statements. Here are the three components. Props to Brock, because if I know Brock and he's got a little bit of an obsessive gene in his DNA, he's going to obsess over what he's trying to say to the world. And that's powerful. That needs to happen. Here are the three components of a manifesto. And I am challenging you to write and deliver a manifesto. You need to freaking coke up on a cup of coffee, clear your schedule, and Jerry Maguire the crap out of a manifesto. I'm building up to that myself. And there's some prep work, right? You got to feed yourself with good input. So I'm reading my old manifesto. I'm reading other people I respect. I think Chris Gillibo has one of the best manifestos I've ever read that stirred me to want to live a life of remote living as a digital nomad back in freaking 2007, I think it was. I think it's called the World Domination Manifesto or something like that. Like, it's a big promise. Here are the three components. Number one, you need to share what you think is wrong with the world as you see it. You have to very clearly in a manifesto share what you think is wrong with the world as you see it. You need to not hold back. You need to write your observations and do not hold back. This is the moment where you actually gain an audience or lose an audience. Like in the outright first paragraph is where you actually attract or repel your audience right out of the gate. You'll repel a ton of people. And I'll show you the first few lines of my Rookie Missionary Manifesto. It's not for everybody. And I stand by it. And you'll see this when it comes to the state of the spark. Like something stinks in the state of Denmark, right? Like it's the Shakespearean opening line of something's wrong with this mess. And if you don't agree, pound sand. Ryan Chris, one of my friends and clients, says, kick rocks. You can go kick rocks. Something's wrong with the world as I see it. And you say this. This is the first component. You say it right out of the gate. Once you definitively share what you see is wrong with the world, you need to share an additional aspect. And that is, what is worse if things continue the way they are? Become a soothsayer. Look into the future. Oftentimes, when you see that something is wrong with the way things are, it's tolerable. If we keep going with masks, I don't have a problem with wearing a mask for COVID-19. But if this keeps going, it's going to do X, Y, and Z. So we need to do something else. So a lot of the haters on mask wearing. Inflation. If we keep writing checks to people, hey, I'm fine. I'm glad that people have gotten support checks during COVID. I appreciate it. But if this keeps going, you need to boldly point to the future. So it's the old marketing adage, problem, agitate, solve. But that works because it works psychologically with our nature. People want to know, hey, kind of what are you seeing that's wrong right now? Well, this is what's wrong right now. Okay, that's good to know. But what I really want to know is it that bad? Like if I continue, how bad will it get? That's what you as the soothsayer need to be very specific about. State of the Spark. We help ignite lives of explosive significance. What's wrong with the world is people are lulling themselves to sleep with the law of hypnotic rhythm. And you know what? That's okay. It creates stability. But if you keep going this way and don't massively disrupt yourself, if you don't massively disturb yourself, you're going to have lived a meaningless, unfulfilling life. That's State of the Spark. Do you agree or disagree? I agree. Go live a life of adventure, and then we unpack State of the Spark. So not only do you need to write your observations and not hold back, you need to tell people what will happen if they continue down that path. Oftentimes in this context is you need to end this section answering, why then did you start your business or mission to solve these things? We started our business to solve this. We started our mission to rectify X, Y, and Z in society. So the first section, the first part of your manifesto, Write what is wrong with the world as you see it. The second part, write what you believe about this. And this is the most subjective part. What does it mean if people live a meaningless life? I think it is a complete waste of existence. I think we were made for more. I believe when you write this section, this is the second section, write what you believe about these things. It often starts with we believe or I believe. And you also need not hold back. And this is, if someone was on the fence about whether or not they were rolling with you, this next part is definitely where you gain or lose an audience. Like you filtered them in the first section, you are really giving them a chance to bail out the back door in this second section. I believe that if you do not live your life with the clear goals, you will die miserable. I said it, and I believe it. I believe if Root does not pursue his highest ambition the way he wants to pursue it, he will always question whether or not if he did enough. I believe. What are those statements you need to say to the world? So there's your observations about the world. Stuff stinks in this state of Denmark. Stuff isn't right. This is what I'm seeing that's wrong with the world. It could be better. This is where people are missing it. And if they continue down this path, this is what will happen. And I believe we were made for more. I believe the human species is giving birth to you for a time such as this. I believe that you have a specific contribution that our species needs. And if you doubt yourself, if you operate without goals, if you do not look for massive successes, if you do not make it about others, if you do not make it spiritually anchored in some way, whatever that means to you, I believe you are not living a fulfilled existence. Lisa steps up to the plate. She says, we believe that Florida farmers can feed and fulfill Florida's microgreens, and we don't need airplanes flying produce here. That's huge. 216 Florida farmers are going to get on board with that. Amazon might not. You're going to create enemies. Who can tell that Lisa Welsh is going to create enemies here? Bring it. Who can tell she's going to lose people because they're going to know that's a big challenge. I don't think I've got it in my gas tank. That right there, we believe. That's an exact example. That's a great example. Applause, applause, applause to you. And Jessica Ojeda comes in and shows some love. Yes, Lisa. Making colorful music with the Ojedas. She jumps in and absolutely celebrates Lisa there. And then Brock jumps in and says this. It's a technologically enabled way forward beyond existing forms of work, financial systems, and government. A return to a human-centric world. Part one is untangling personal relationships from finances and valuing atoms over dollars again. Man, he's raising mystery. This is from Brock. He's raising questions. What does that mean? And there's something in that about human-centric work. A return to human-centric world. Man, that's interesting. And it's loaded. And there's enemies in the AI community to this. There's enemies in the software community to this. There's enemies in the economic. People are just labor units. He's going to create enemies in all those worlds. That's good. He's codifying who he is here. That's huge. First part, write what you think is wrong with the world as you see it. Number two, write what you believe about it. And number three, write how you are going to solve it. Brock already mentioned that he's building it and what he's willing to do and what he's not willing to do. Absolutely. Got it. What are you willing to do to solve it? What actions will you take? What actions do you resolutely believe they should take? What do you want people to hold you accountable to? I'm going to hold Brock accountable to this mission. I'm going to hold Lisa accountable to this mission. What big steps? What tangible, quantifiable goals? This year, here's one. We want to ignite lives of explosive significance. We want to reach 1 million people. We want to ignite 1 million people. Therefore, we need to reach 10,000 mission-driven businesses and ministries to influence 100 people? Can I find 10,000 people on this planet who can reach 100 people and are passionate to do it? Can I certify them, train them, equip them, educate and empower them? Can I do that? What is your tangible, and they would call this a BHAG, but what are the actions you're going to take? We're going to commit to quality. We're going to commit to speed of service, whatever that is. For Lisa, we're going to commit to putting together a farmer's co-op. We're going to commit to getting produce fresh to market. We're going to commit to educating our 216 farmers. What are you going to do? What mission are you on? Because when you get specific, the fans that have stuck around for this manifesto, those fans will absolutely be able to jump on board. 100%. How will your business or mission solve this thing in absolute statements? How will it happen? How are you going to do it? If you don't follow through with this third part, you've whipped people into a fervor and then they don't know how to jump in. This third part is, this is what we're going to do. And these are the two parts of the third part. Like part 3A is what you're going to do with your business or mission. Doesn't matter what entity, but your business or your nonprofit. Doesn't matter if you're even doing this as an entity. What are you going to do? And then the second part, part 3B, is what can they do to jump on board? Absolutely 100%. 3 parts. What's wrong with the world as you see it? Number 2, what do you believe about that? And number 3, how are you going to solve it? You yourself. Now, here's the thing about this. Oh, here we go. Wait, hold on. Lisa jumps in. Yep, I already made stickers. If you don't have haters, then you're coloring in the lines, and life is about coloring outside the lines. Life is about making an impact. I believe this species, this human species, is a smart organism in itself as a single unit, like transcendent of me. And I believe this species knows somewhere. It's so intelligent, it knows it needs fresh produce at the local level in Florida. That's crazy, I know. I believe that. I believe that this species knows it needs human-centric world through software development. And that's why Brock is stirred to do what he does. I believe that. I believe that this species is intelligent enough to know. I believe this species is intelligent enough to know that we need someone who's going to guide our people outside. I believe this species is intelligent enough to know that our small business owners need training and equipping. I know that our species is smart enough to know that we need more intelligent entrepreneurial bookkeeping. I believe our species is giving birth to this. Now, the trick is this. That's edgy. If you write a manifesto, not only are you going to piss some people off, the haters will not only be the haters, they'll also go, okay, show me you're going to do it. When you put big ambitions out there, people that dislike you will hold you to it. And guess what? The people that jumped on the mission, if you do not at least try, you don't have to succeed. You do not have to succeed at these goals. Hear me on this. You got to hear me on this. You do not need to succeed at your ambitions. You need to become the seed to these ambitions. Someone else might come along and water. Someone else might come along and prune. Someone else might reap the fruit. It's just your job to put the seed in the ground and put the soil over it. Someone else might fertilize it. Someone else might freaking transplant it. If you see the world has a massive need, it is on you to fill that need to your fullest. If you do not attempt it, though, if you put out a manifesto and you do not step up to the plate and attempt it, you are going to not only those people who backed you will become worse than your haters. Again, they won't become worse than your haters if you don't succeed. They'll become worse than your haters if you don't attempt it. Everyone wants permission to do bold things. The best way to give permission to people to do bold things is to go out and stand on the edge yourself. Right? Listen, folks. It's what? Freaking Wednesday? It's Wednesday. They call it hump day. I call BS on that. This is peak day. This is a peak day where you are in the trenches of the thing you do. And I want to challenge you. Challenge you to at least outline some I believe statements. Put them down. Share them with me. Share them with me in the Facebook Goals and Gratitude group, or Facebook message them to me directly. Whatever it is you need to do, I challenge you today, move things forward. This is how I accomplish my mission, igniting lives of explosive significance. I wanted to sit with coffee with my beautiful wife on the couch right over there while we watch the storm. But I have a mission to ignite lives of explosive significance. So sorry, babe, I got to dip out for 36 minutes and 47 seconds because I got a mission to fulfill. Am I doing it great? I'm doing it the best I know how at the moment. Am I succeeding? I have no idea. I have no idea. But I'm fighting for that mission, and I'm on mission. Are you on mission today? So remember, go out there today and ignite lives of explosive significance. But by writing this manifesto, or at least outlining it, start with your own. Have a killer day.